For decades, we've been told the same story. Spain are the artists, the matadors, in England, we're the perennial runners-up. The world seems to agree that when the pressure is at its absolute peak, England will always fall short against their Spanish kryptonite. We all felt in Berlin. Another final. Another dose of heartbreak delivered by La Roja. But what if that entire story is a lie? What if the narrative of Spanish dominance is built on a foundation that's starting to crack? And what if the tactical masterclass that will finally break the curse has been hiding in plain sight all along? The football world is starting to think that this time, it's different, and we're going to show you exactly why. The rivalry between England and Spain isn't just a football match. It's a century-long saga of pride and pain. It arguably started back in 1929, when Spain became the first team from continental Europe to beat England, sending shockwaves through the sport. And while England answered with a thundering 7-1 victory 2 years later, a psychological seed had been planted. Spain was, and will continue to be, a unique and persistent problem. For modern fans, this has felt less like a rivalry and more like a curse. The worst of it came during Spain's golden generation, from 2008 to 2012. Their tiki-taka philosophy didn't just win trophies. It redefined how football could be played. They were a team that starved you of the ball, that passed you into submission until you felt like you were just chasing shadows. And even after that generation faded, the aura remained. For England, the pain just found new ways to show up. We saw it most recently and most painfully in the Euro 2024 final. The three Lions in back-to-back European finals stood on the edge of history, only to be shoved off by a familiar foe. That 2-1 defeat in Berlin wasn't just a loss. It was a confirmation of our deepest fears. It felt like we'd seen this movie before, a tactical and mental wall that England just couldn't break through. The question echoed through pubs and living rooms all over the country. Why? Why do we always falter against them? So, why has Spain been such a potent kryptonite? To get it, you have to look past the scoreline and into the tactical torture chamber they create. For years, the answer was obvious. That midfield carousel. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets. They were masters of cruel game, forcing teams to run, to chase, to tire, and finally, to break. But even after they left, that philosophy stayed behind, burned into Spain's footballing DNA. It's a patient, probing possession style that attacks English football's greatest strengths. Its passion, tempo, and urgency. Spain turns our virtues into weaknesses. England wants to play with heart-on-sleeve intensity. Spain just lowers the tempo, making England chase the ball, draining both their physical energy and their emotional fire. England wants to hit them with vertical pace. Spain recycles possession, denying the very transitions that English teams are built on. It's like a tactical boa constrictor, slowly squeezing the life out of its opponent. In tournaments, this has often made England look reactive and hesitant, caught between two minds. Do we press high and risk getting passed around, or do we sit deep and just invite wave after wave of pressure? The Euro 2024 final was a perfect example. For all of England's talent, the team looked tactically smothered, unable to get a grip and impose their own rhythm on the game. It feeds that painful narrative that has haunted the men's team for decades, a psychological block on the biggest stage. The rare wins, like the dramatic penalty shootout at Euro 96, have felt more like fleeting moments of defiance than any real shift in power. The feeling has always been one of frustration, of running headfirst into a beautifully constructed, technically superior brick wall. It's a pain every fan understands, and a puzzle that, until very recently, seemed impossible to solve. What if the key to unlocking the Spanish puzzle has already been found? What if the solution was just laid out for the entire world to see? To find it, you just have to turn your attention to the Lionesses. Because in the UEFA Women's Euro 2025 final, England didn't just face Spain. They beat them. In a tense, gripping final that went all the way to a penalty shootout, the Lionesses did what the men's team couldn't. They found a way to win. And more importantly, they showed how it can be done. It wasn't by trying to create a pale imitation of Spain. They didn't try to outpass the masters of possession. Instead, they embraced a different identity, one built on resilience, tactical smarts, and calculated disruption. The solution wasn't always pretty, but it was brutally effective. Sarina Wiegman's side gave up possession but refused to give up control. They packed the midfield, turning the center of the pitch from a Spanish playground into a congested war zone. They were physical, they were organized, and they were patient. They learned how to suffer without the ball, a quality that's essential in modern tournaments. They understood that you don't have to dominate the ball to dominate a game. Key tactical adjustments were pivotal. At times, it looked as if versatile players were tucking in to add an extra body, disrupting Spain's rhythm and protecting the backline. England's goal came from a perfectly executed transition, punishing Spain in a rare moment of disorganization. This was the blueprint. Absorb the pressure, stay compact, break up their flow, and be absolutely lethal when your moment arrives. The Lionesses proved that beating Spain isn't some impossible dream. It's a tactical problem with a very real solution. This new blueprint isn't just about formations on a whiteboard. It's forged by the character of the players who live it. And that Euro 2025 final gave us heroes who embody this new spirit. Look no further than goalkeeper Hannah Hampton. After 120 minutes of exhausting, high-stakes football, the final came down to penalties, a scenario that is basically synonymous with English heartbreak. But Hampton flipped the script. She was a titan in goal, a picture of mental fortitude under the most extreme pressure imaginable. And then there's the character of the whole squad. A spirit of unbelievable resilience. We saw a team willing to endure, to suffer for each other, and to do whatever it took to win. This isn't just about being tough. It's about a level of commitment that inspires an entire nation. The performance was a human embodiment of the new philosophy. It's not just a feel-good story. It's proof of the character required to topple a giant. The victory was sealed by Chloe Kelly, who stepped up to score the decisive penalty and clinch the trophy, a moment of pure, ice-cold composure. It's a blend of tactical intelligence and raw, unbreakable grit. This is why the football world is starting to agree that the tide is turning. The Lionesses' victory in 2025 wasn't a fluke. It was a paradigm shift. It provided a clear, actionable template for how to succeed against a world-class Spanish side, one that directly addresses the historical struggles of the English men's team. It showed that you can neutralize Spain's possession game with organization and physicality. It proved that mental fragility in the biggest moments can be overcome with preparation and sheer belief. The conversation is no longer about if England can beat Spain. The Lionesses already answered that with a massive yes. The question now is whether the men's team can learn the lessons and adopt the blueprint. The path has been lit up. The psychological barrier has been shattered by their female counterparts. Beating Spain is no longer about hoping for a miracle or for them to have an off day. It's about executing a strategy built on pragmatism, resilience, and an unwavering collective spirit. The tools are there. The evidence is undeniable, and the belief that it can be done is no longer just blind hope. It's based on a victory that is still fresh in everyone's memory. The story of England versus Spain has, for so long, been defined by one narrative: technical artistry overcoming raw, but ultimately empty passion. For the men's team, the pain of the Euro 2024 final felt like the final chapter of that old story. But just when the narrative seemed set in stone, the Lionesses tore up the script. They took the pain of their own previous final loss to Spain and forged it into a winning formula at Euro 2025. They showed us that the answer isn't to become more like Spain, but to become a better, smarter, and more resilient version of England. They gave us a blueprint built not on possession, but on disruption, not on elegance, but on endurance. They proved that the Spanish kryptonite can be neutralized. The curse can be broken. The football world now looks at this rivalry through a brand new lens. The next time the three Lions face La Roja, they'll do it knowing that victory isn't just possible, but achievable. A path has been forged. The Lionesses have shown the way. Do you think the men's team has what it takes to follow that blueprint and finally conquer their Spanish rivals? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next tactical breakdown. See you in the next one.